Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. Today on Races of the Worlds, we are going to be talking about a nice little race many call the Tall Whites. These are Aldebaran, or more to the point, they are from Aldebaran. Okay, now the Tall Whites are, in a lot of ways, essentially human. Okay, they are not human, but they are rooted there. Essentially. Basically, what you're looking at with Aldebaran, or the Aldebaranese, if you will. Okay, number one, they are on the third planet from their sun. Okay, which is one of the important factors that you have to realize. Yes, I'm looking for a pin here. Primarily, well, welcome to what happens with a live recording. What I'm doing, I tend to do, and you just get to see the side effects. Because I don't go back and edit any of this. Anyway, enough is enough. Okay, the reality of it from your standpoint is those from Aldebaran, they are what most people call the tall whites. Now, they are basically human. They are evolved far beyond humans in a lot of ways. Okay, they have from a spiritual standpoint, they are very much on the same line. Okay, and what we mean by that is they do believe in a single higher entity. They refer to it much like many humans do. They refer to it as source. Okay, indicating for them this is the source of all of their information. It's where they began. It's how they began. They are fully telepathic. Okay, now much as they can speak many of the languages because they've been here so long, they have learned many of the Terran languages. They still tend to defer to telepathy, the ability to speak mind to mind regardless of language barriers. Okay. They do range from usually in the 7 foot mark, very slender build, but aside from that being all of them, there is no variation to speak of in their hair. Okay, the hair color is blonde. Doesn't even go into the reddish range that some races have. They are simply blonde. Okay, the closest thing to a variation they'll get is that yellowish blonde that you see, or they may go straight into white. But they are not albino. Okay, they do have their governmental system is a benevolent dictatorship. They have one king, okay, one leader. King may be the wrong word for it in all fairness, but they have, well, yeah, it is. They have a dictator. Now, said dictator is replaced by choice. In other words, the current dictator sets up his predecessor as not his predecessor, his, okay, just blew a total blank on the name. Welcome to live. Okay, he sets up the person following him. He picks them out early. Okay, and that way, if the dictator does pass away through natural causes, because they don't have that neat thing, because it's a benevolent dictatorship, you don't have the problem with assassinations, but accidents can happen, and this is why very early in the dictator's career, he will pick a successor. That's the word I was looking for. Okay. Now, they do follow karmic law rather strongly. This has to do with the fact that they follow Source. Okay. And Source laid out, according to them, Source laid out the karmic laws. So, the karmic laws they follow are be true to yourself first, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, and energy out, energy in. Now, of course, because they are a dictator, they do have corporeal laws. And those corporeal laws follow the category of follow the laws of the land in which you are. If you've got a home, if you personally have a home, You run it the way you will. You set up your own rules. But the rules you set up in the house cannot contravene those in the community. The dictator says, here's the overall. You want to make extra restrictions inside? Absolutely, do so. Okay, but when you're outside of your home, follow the ones that are outside. Your rules in your house do not necessarily apply outside of it. Same as with the business side of things. Okay, they are humanoid. They can pass for humans quite readily. Okay, the only difference between them and humans that is very visible is number one, they usually run about 7 feet tall. They've got slender bodies. You'll never find one of the Aldebaran. You will never find them overweight. They just don't go that way because the primary diet is seafood, varying kinds of seafoods. Okay, they do not add a lot of stuff to it. The only salt, for instance, that they add comes from the seawater they cook with. Okay, and again, their whole society is built around the seas. You don't see you don't see cities evolving inland. Fortunately, when you think about it, because their world is built essentially on an archipelago. In other words, a whole pile of little islands. When we're talking about when you're talking about their lifestyle, it's all built around the water. Okay, they do not, much as they have interstellar travel, they come into this area on the back, if you will, on transport ships, on cruise ships and what have you, to come to the central hub of the Galactic Consortium, where they come here to do some of their research too. And what they do, they those of Aldebaran do not, and I'm going to have to look into that, but they do not do the abductions. They don't even participate in abductions. They are much more inclined to come down and walk amongst Earthlings. Okay, they are much more likely to come in, sit down, and talk to somebody, usually in passing. You'll find that they do conceal their appearance a lot of the time, but they usually do that with a hooded cloak. Okay, which can be disconcerting. If you see somebody, oftentimes you may mistake them. They may have been mistaken for one of the um, shadow of the Watchers, because they stand quietly in the shadows, often wearing the cloak, but that's simply because of the fact they don't want people staring at them, as it were, and their height draws enough attention in the first place. Okay, they are a very, for them, they value all life. So yeah, they will work with the Greys periodically, but again, they do it more from a social side to understand not only the Terrans, but the Greys as well. These people are much more interested in the xeno-socioeconomic standpoint, which is what brought them here at this time, because they're watching mankind's evolution and wondering whether mankind can actually pull itself into a unified front. Okay, but they are not here to create a problem. They're not here for the abductions. And again, they do not tend to turn around and do much at all in the way of causing a problem for mankind. They watch, they interact, they socialize, and they get to know the sociological side of things. Okay, that's what they're here for, not to infiltrate. But with that in mind, you're dealing with a lot of things that they happen to come around, that they happen to deal with. Okay, now, there's all kinds of rumors out there of different races that are into very different things. Okay, something that that you have to understand is that with the way that they tend to work with life, is they value all life. So you may find, if you're watching them walk through a park, they may pay particular attention to where paths have already been worn, and they'll walk on those paths. They won't veer very far from them. Okay, because they try and maintain, they understand that as civilization evolves, some of the green area will get wiped out. But they tend to work inside the green areas that have been removed. Okay, like you'll find that one of the biggest differences between them and humans is they tend to walk around in bare feet. Okay, they do not walk around a lot in shoes. But that's because it is more natural for them, okay, to stay in, to be in their natural state. Okay, yes, they wear clothes, but that's more because of the fact they don't like being cold. Okay, but where they are from, do they have snow? Yes. Okay, and when they're in the snowbanks, they do not walk around in bare feet. Rest assured, there are races that do, but not them. Okay, so overall, they are a very old race, especially compared to humans. Okay, when you take a look at them, they themselves live about the same length of time that humans do. Okay, so you're not going to end up with thousand-year-old Aldeberanians. Okay, you will end up with them. They'll get to about a century, and then they peter out by natural causes. Medically speaking, they are further advanced than most races, save for the Pleiadians. Okay, Pleiadians are way ahead on the medical side. The Greys are way ahead on the genetic side of research. But the Aldeberanians are very much ahead of the game where it comes to their understanding of medical. Okay, which is why they don't have the diseases, they don't have a lot of those problems. Primarily because they already figured out how to counteract them. Okay, these are a benevolent race. It's very difficult to get an Aldeberanian to actually lose its temper. Okay, which is probably a good thing when you think about it. Okay, now they are not a warrior race. They rely on their allies for that. Okay, in terms of defense, they have focused on, much like the Pleiadians, the Aldebaranians have focused on the arts and on the healing side of things. Okay, are they technically pacifists? No, but at the same time, they have not geared much of their society at all towards conflict. Okay, their idea of heavy-duty conflict is some of the fish that they end up going after. That, unlike human fish, like parrotfish, the Aldebaranian sea life is absolutely deadly. Picture, if you will, a white shark that is more than happy to climb up on land to get its prey, and I do mean to essentially walk up on land, kind of like an oversized mud skipper with a bad attitude. Okay, but the Aldebaranians are going to be here for a while. They're here, quite frankly, to watch mankind evolve and to see what mankind does with its newfound ability to get off the planet. Are they willing to help mankind in that respect? The answer is yes. Okay, primarily in the way of zero gene medicine. Okay, because as scientists on Earth know, you take things off Earth and they do respond differently. This is why a lot of experiments are being done in orbit, because a change in the gravitational pull will affect the way they work. Now, before I go any further here, and I'm going to come back to this, but I should mention something. And I should have done this at the beginning of the video, but I was originally planning on a different video, and then I got a request on YouTube to talk about the tall whites. Okay, which are the Aldebaranians. So I decided when I saw that request that I would bypass what I was going to do, and I would deal with this one. Okay, this said, if you'd like our video, please give us us the thumbs up. Give us a, subscribe to the channel to make sure you can get the rest of the videos, because this is not the only this is the only genre video that I do. I've got a couple of other genres as well, with videos that fall into different categories. But back to the issue at hand. Okay, the Aldeberanians, in a nutshell, are a benevolent race. They do not participate in abductions at all, aside from standing in the off wings to watch how abductions are conducted and to see the socioeconomic impact on both the abductor and the abductee. Okay, they do not answer to anybody, although they are in constant contact with other scientific groups. Okay, with the idea of helping make the transitions between being an unaffected individual and a abductee or contactee. This is where the Aldeberanians come in best, because they understand the way the human mind works. Essentially, they are compatible with Terran DNA, meaning you could end up with an Aldeberanian connecting on a permanent basis with a Terran. And yes, then at that point you end up with a half-breed, not a hybrid. In other words, if there are half-breeds, it means that an Aldeberanian literally got together and had a child via natural methods, as they are heterosexual and built basically like humans. It means that they paired up with a female by mutual choice and had a child. Okay, this is not the same as the hybridization program, which is all done in vat work. Well, the majority of it. In any event, okay, there is no question they are a benevolent people. They are a gentle people. And they are much more interested in the balance of things than they are in the conflicts. Okay. Now, the reason we didn't cover ships with these people is, again, with the Aldeberanians, they don't have ships to speak of. I mean, they do, but they don't bring them here because they are research vessels. Okay, and they are not designed for dealing with off-world or with land individuals, unless, of course, they go down and collect up samples of plants. Okay, they're interested in the medicinal qualities of the different plants on different planets. Okay, they rely on information they get from other races to deal with blood work and what have you. They are not equipped to deal with it, and they've just never taken the time. They've got the brains, they just never took the time to deal with the blood work and what have you. So when we're talking about their methods of healing, you're going back to the old idea of poultices, and and potions is a lousy word for it, but liquid concoctions for imbibing, that sort of thing. All in all, that's what you're dealing with. Okay, they are a decent race, really nice people, although you do have no choice but to look up to them in most cases. You'll also find that their hands and fingers are a little longer than normal for humans. Their fingers actually have, and this is the one difference, they've actually got, well, it's not so much an extra joint as their fingers tend to be double jointed, giving them a much greater level of flexibility. But ultimately, that's what you're looking at. So again, absolutely subscribe to our videos. Subscribe to our channel, it would be appreciated. And if you've got questions, or if there's races or things that you would like to find out about, okay, absolutely contact us at one of the contact points below this video, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. And again, to the individual that actually posted and requested that we do the video on the tall whites, thank you very much for the request. Hopefully this answers some of your questions. Now, until we meet again, people, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.